Welcome to Pub Talk, episode 2 with...
I actually have training after this.
yeah. People were commenting on the beer's different.
I did last time as well, but I was like, oh, I'm a bit, you know.
How bad was the training afterwards?
It's terrible.
Oh, really? Okay, well that's good.
Thanks for that.
I mean, last time I drank yours after.
It is good beer. Like next week, I'm not scheduling training out.
Well, I figured next week. Well,
it's Thanksgiving.
So
people keep asking me, they're like, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?"
Absolutely fuck all, mate.
It's not a thing.
Yeah,
like it actually doesn't exist.
Well, then I tell you what, we'll book in next week as the drinking session. That's the drinking.
I heard Frank was telling me the day before Thanksgiving is like the biggest night. It's like bigger than New Year's. Like it's like.
Well, we shall put that to the test.
We'll see.
Anyway.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there you go. This is Dan Hooker, I'm Oscar Willis. This is episode 2 of the show that we never plan or do anything, as you probably could just tell. Yeah.
Mate, we planned this all week.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Every day. Just, so we'll kick off. How's your week been? Some good news last night.
Nah, some real good news. My 8th lottery attempt. It's quite a game. It's like the most depressing game if you don't get a spot that you could possibly play. I haven't been under so they gave away 4,000 spots, so your number has to be under 4,000 to like even be in for a shot, you know what I mean? I haven't been under 10,000 like the previous 7, but then I played last night, bang, the timer went and I got like 500, which means like you're 500 through the door to like pick what day you want to come home. So it was just like, I got my spot, I got my thing, like got to pick the day I can go home. So I'm back in January, so it's perfect. Like I'll be back before gyms are like even open.
I was going to say, what you're going to do? Like you're going to go back straight into a lockdown, or do you think by that point they'll be easing it up, or what?
They're starting to like lift stuff like as a moment. But I would love it. I would love to be back before like the gyms open, just so you know once all the fighters come back, you can kind of just hit the ground running.
After all that shit you were talking about your lovely Prime Minister.
She's still a bitch.
Revoked.
I was gonna slip that in there, you know what I mean?
Well, it was a great reaction to our first episode. It was immediately demonetized on YouTube. Probably.
I don't know what that means.
It means you can't make any it's not suitable for advertisers.
Why not?
Well, I think because I got drunk and put banging small people in the title. Probably just. So that's on me. You live and you learn, you know.
Keep the money.
Yeah,
keep the money. I'd rather have that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that in the title.
So you live and
than
you learn.
Make any kind of money off this show.
You live and you learn. But we'll get to the MMA news of the week, I suppose. That's like the thing people allegedly tune in for. Apparently. Max Holloway. Do you see the fight? If you say no, we're fucked.
No, okay. Kind of.
Go on.
Kind of. Well,
this is all that prep.
I'm going back to last week where they didn't give me tickets.
I did notice that.
They didn't give me tickets to the card, so I couldn't go and watch. So that was like my plan A out the window. Then I was like, I'll just watch it on Fight Pass because in New Zealand we can just watch it on Fight Pass.
Right.
Can't watch it on Fight Pass over here.
Okay.
Was completely unaware of that.
Sideswiped by that news.
Prior to Saturday, couldn't watch it on that. Don't have ESPN Plus.
Nor do I.
Got Showtime. I can watch Bellator.
Oh wow.
I watch Bellator. We can talk about that.
I didn't watch Bellator. Oh no, I did. I watched the main event.
I watched Cyborg. Anyway, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Can't watch it. Don't have ESPN Plus. And then I watch it. My third one is I watch it on YouTube. But then you know when you watch it on YouTube and it's like super zoomed in. It's like super zoomed in.
Yeah.
So you can only see it when it's like landscape mode.
Yeah.
You can watch the fight. So I watched. My answer to the question is I watched half of it.
Right.
I watched the zoomed out portion of the fight. Great fight.
Yeah.
Zoomed in portion.
Not
so much.
Yeah.
So 50-50.
Okay, we'll work with it. Let's try. I'll try and build around this fragile base you've given.
I'm just being honest.
No, I appreciate it.
I could sit here and bullshit.
Yeah. Well.
Everyone at home. But I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
I appreciate that, and I think the people love honesty.
I'll sort it out for next week. Obviously, you got to go to a pub, I guess.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they don't even show them in pubs. It's a whole fucking thing.
Oh.
But, yeah. Listen,
That's plan. It's plan
I
E.
say they would show us.
That's plan E.
Yeah. Maybe a shirt.
MMA-core was down. My
classic website.
It wasn't working. You know what I mean? That's plan E. We're on F.
Yeah.
Plan F was go to the pub.
I'll send you a dodgy link. There you go. You can stream it through that.
Even
I'll use the Apex Wi-Fi to get a dodgy link to stream their fight. Well, I'll say I was there. Max put on a great performance, but I think like the real surprise to me was Yair gave it as good as he got.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like Max was going to overwhelm him fairly early on, but Yair, I think the kicking game just sort of shut Max's rhythm down quite easy. Max takes a lot of shots, man. For this, like, I know it's always been the way, but you think of his Calvin fight and how easily he just put the pressure on. If you watch him against a guy who's going against him, he eats a lot of punches to land a couple. Sure. I don't know, as someone who's been in a few wars yourself, the longevity of that strategy started to concern me on Saturday.
Like it's doing well for him. It's gonna, you're gonna do it until it stops working, right?
But
like
don't you think like if it stops working, it's a bit like Tony,
well, he is, like Max is definitely capable of adjusting. It's not like he can't adjust. It's not like that's Max's only path to victory is to fight that style, because it's definitely not. Like I've seen, there's only less than like a handful of fighters in the world that can adjust like Max Holloway does in like a short space of time. Like guys like Israel can adjust like fight to fight. The first fight and second fight with Volk, the adjustments were incredible, considering he says he was training at home and doing everything on Zoom and whatever.
A bit like you guys do in New Zealand in your lockdown. You train and don't spar around there, yeah?
Nah, actually, that's like I actually was caught by the police multiple times.
Yeah, fair enough. But when so this Max obviously got the victory. I feel like, in a way, I don't feel like anyone's really talking about this, but I feel like Yair might have been fighting for his job, because I know he always pulls out of fights. He's been injured a lot. I think the UFC kind of got a little bit annoyed with him multiple times. You know, when they do that stuff.
Oh, of course, but it's all, he's just like jockeying for position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some fighters tend to play. Well, it's not even like up to the fighter. It's most of the time it's the like management team of the fighter that's picking and choosing and not yet, now. Like now's a good time. I feel like it was a good time. Look at the opportunity that he had. Yeah. Had he beaten Max Holloway, he'd be fighting for a title. So I feel like he played it right. Like me and Yair fought in 2014.
Yeah.
And since then, I think he's had like 9 fights in the UFC, and I had like 18 fights in the UFC. So it's, but who can say that way is like wrong and my way is right? Like I
would argue you've made more money than Yair.
You would be, you would stand accurate.
Yeah, I think I'd feel safe with that bet.
Yeah, but you know, there's like a safe route and then like a not safe route.
A lot of the talk's been now about Max's next move. Like, obviously the Volko fight's there, number 3, which is kind of weird, but because there's 0-2 against Alex, but that fight seems to be there. The Conor fight's there. Conor did a video of him pacing back and forth in front of his TV, which was amusing to me. I thought that was cool.
I thought it was good.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's actually like, I saw someone, Chael called him a little weirdo. I was like, fucking relax, Chael. You know, but I like both of them. I don't want. It's like watching my parents fighting. I'm like, please don't fight. But the Conor fight's obviously there. I think like even there are other fights at 155 that Max could be booked in. That would be big fights. Ooh. Don't you think like a fight with Tony? Like even though Tony's on the decline, like I still think that's a big fight. But then who
fights Alex? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like I feel like the Alex fight is like the only fight to make. Well, those two head and shoulders stand out as the top two guys in that division. For him that's like a throwaway fight. The Tony Ferguson fight. I feel like Max has nothing to gain from it.
Yeah.
Unless his plan was to permanently move up to 55. Like.
Yeah. I feel like with, well, first of all, Yair Rodriguez needs to fight Brian Ortega. That's like the obvious fight. That's a good fight. Those two should fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
You're welcome, UFC.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's a good fight. The Alex Max fight, I think that Ortega fight that Alex had did the world for him, I think. You know, because before that, it was like he was kind of missing the connection with the fans for whatever reason. And that fight showed his grit with the guillotine and the triangle. And also, I noticed his footwork and movement in that fight was like head and shoulders above where it had ever been before. So if you think about his footwork against Max's ability, like the third fight to me seems the most tactically interesting. Although there's an argument that they cancel each other out because they're both so good. But when you think of a third fight, admittedly you didn't just watch Max's last fight.
I watched a bit of it.
Okay. Watch the zoomed out version.
I watched enough.
Okay,
watched enough.
How do you think the third fight goes? Do you think Max, you said he's good at adjusting, is he able to adjust to the things Volko does well enough? Or do you think Alex is still improving and still getting better that he can outclass Max?
That's not generally how trilogies work. Like now it's, like if you go back...
Trilogies don't usually work 0 and 2 to go into a third fight.
Trilogies, traditionally, in like combat sports, like one guy, so obviously Volk was able to study Max, and that's like the disadvantage of being champion, is that everyone gets to watch you, and for their 5 fights before they actually fight you, they're already developing a plan to finally get there and beat you. Whereas the champion, you're just thinking about the next guy in line, the next guy in line, the next guy in line. You don't. The other guy's got like 5 fights advantage to kind of formulate his plan. So that's why, you know, Alex was able to come into that first fight.
The first fight was pretty much a washout.
Yeah, because he had adjusted to him. Comes back in the second fight, Max gets a chance to make some adjustments, and they were obviously like key and successful. But now it's Alex coming in and adjusting to those adjustments. So now it's like, now I feel like the ball is in Volkanovski's court, so I feel like he's got a little bit of an advantage coming into this one. And also, like, he's been thinking about fighting Max again since, it would have been since before the Brian Ortega fight, before that first fight was cancelled, before like the actual fight, and now since then, whereas Max has had to focus on Yair Rodriguez. So it's he's been distracted with his like formulating a plan, I guess. Yeah,
I would also argue that the prospect of fighting the Max who beat Calvin is a little bit different than the guy who fought Yair, right? Because you saw him look vulnerable in the Yair fight. Against Calvin, he looked like unstoppable and a world beater. Against Yair, he you know, got hurt in that fight. It was very even. So I'm sure Alex doesn't give a shit either way, but the prospect of facing this Max is a little bit nicer than the one we saw in January.
It's just hard, like, it's just hard. There's so many, like, that Max versus Calvin is just Max's, like, styles make fights. That was just, that Calvin was just a perfect style for him. Like, Calvin is a world-class fighter, and he's going to give a lot of guys troubles, but just that, Max's, like, particular style, the way he, like, drifted left, like, just shut, his style completely shut Calvin's down.
I also felt that before that fight, Max had traditionally been known as a slow starter, but then in the fight against Alex in Abu Dhabi, the first 2 rounds, and then the fight in Calvin, he just came out like immediately rapid. I think that must have been something they worked on, because it usually took him a round or 2 to really get in his groove. So that's another curious thing, right? Has he just changed his entire strategy? Because against Yair, it was the first time in the 5th round I'd seen him actually look fatigued. Like, he looked kind of tired, and Yair got back into it, you know? I don't know what you should do.
I was like watching way too close.
God, he's a beautiful man, isn't he? And then Yair's
You're like watching like this much. Like,
it's so bad the things we'll do to watch fights, isn't it? Just like fucking watching some Russian commentary being like, I don't know what they're saying, but they're enthusiastic.
Give that a pause. Give that a mute. Give that a mute. Enjoy the fight.
Elsewhere in the world of MMA, so you want to see Volko Holloway 3, right? That's.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's any other
Max
fight.
wins though? Is then they do the 4th one?
Yeah.
It's kind of it's kind of weird because the 2 are so obviously head and shoulders above everyone else, right? It's just a weird division at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, like, someoen's going to have to
maybe
put
they
their
call
hand
Henry back in.
Oh, that's a bit of an easy one for the big fellas. You know what I mean?
He's a
like,
small
that's
guy.
Volko is he's a big boy. He's a big boy. He gets bigger than me. He gets bigger than me at 55.
Yeah.
When we both weigh in, I weigh in 55, he weighs in 45. Like, he'll get heavier than me when I'm like a weight class above him. Like, he's a heavy boy.
Yeah, and also if you're Cejudo, like, I think he's a fantastic fighter. I'm not shitting on Cejudo, but against Volko, okay, I can kind of see it, even though the weight disparity. But against Max, it's just
too much range. Like, there's no.
It's like me and the girl.
No one even matched that one.
What elsewhere? What have you made of this Justin Islam thing? like the tweets back and forth that are definitely those guys using their own Twitter accounts.
You reckon?
Sure. No, for sure. Yeah, definitely, dude, definitely. No, what do you make of all that sort of stuff? Like Islam kind of, I know you just fought him, so maybe you're a bit biased, but he's kind of trying to jump the queue. You got Khabib trying to get him to jump the queue. You got Daniel Cormier kind of pushing him as well. It's a bit of a weird one.
I feel like he could just sit and wait, like if he really wanted to. And
yeah, probably.
I feel like he could, because then, even if he's not next, he lets Justin fight the winner of Oliveira Poirier. Then after that, like who's next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Chandler on the like 2-fight skid. There's like Beneil, but then he obviously turned down the Islam fight. Like they asked him before me. They asked Tony before me, and like both of those guys.
I didn't know Beneil turned it down. I thought Tony just disappeared into the night and no one ever got hold of him.
He has done that, yeah. Apparently, yeah, like that's what UFC told me. No one can get a hold of the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they turned the fight down, and if you think that the UFC rewards fighters for turning down fights, like you're like absolutely. If you think you're gonna turn down a fight, wait and get a title shot, like you're.
Dana has made that fairly clear throughout his career.
You have to, like you have to.
I feel like
at that level, like it should be, and the way they've constructed the entire business is like. You say when the title is on the line, you say like Corey Sandhagen. When the title is on the line, when there's a bout there, you cannot say no, or there's to be punished. So I feel like even if Islam's not next, he could just wait. Like if someone's got someone else that's gonna jump ahead of him, I feel like
Islam almost has a weird business advantage in that they're gonna want him to fight for the title in Abu Dhabi. They just are.
Without a doubt.
So if he just sits and waits, he gets him October. He'll fight for the title in October. It's fucking clear as day. Unless they make the Beneil fight first and Beneil beats him. I don't think they'll make that fight.
He
can just sit and wait. He doesn't fight that regularly.
Even if he beats Beneil, like is like that much more.
Doesn't do anything for anyone really.
Beneil is like the worst. In the best way, like he's like, in my opinion, the best. Like in my personal opinion, Beneil Dariush is the best, technically, in the top 5.
Yeah.
That's like my personal opinion. Top 5 to champion, I feel like Beneil Dariush is the best, with like the least, because he's like the nicest guy in the world, like the least marketability, and like the least like ability to sell a fight. So do they even want Beneil Dariush like holding the title?
Well, I kind of find it's a little bit weird to me that they haven't really pushed Islam, and I wonder if because of his style they're not like he's gonna be champion. We don't want him to be champion like right away because his style is not.
It's got to be in Abu Dhabi, like that's.
Can you imagine the conversation Dana and Abu Dhabi had when Khabib retired in the cage? After they just like made a massive deal for millions, and Khabib's like, I'm off. They must be like, what? Get him back now.
I want to see like a video of Dana just doing it, just like
slowly redder and redder and redder.
Imploding, like, oh.
Well, there's a reason why like Cejudo retires, fuck off, and then when Khabib retires, it's like, no, he's not retired. He'll fight. It just fell. Yeah, I mean, that's the business though, isn't it? I feel like fans sometimes, I'm sure the fighters as well. I don't understand sometimes when fighters can't see the way the business is playing out as if it hasn't been played out 100 times before. You know?
It's just like history just constantly repeats itself.
It's not like a surprise when they make the moves they make, right?
Nah, not at all. Like history just like continually repeats itself. You know what I mean? Like going back as far as you can possibly remember, like the UFC like business model has not changed.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed since like the Zuffa came in and bought the UFC. Like the business model has been like completely the same. We'll switch it.
I was actually going to switch it. Yeah, I was just going to take it anyway. But thanks so much.
I'll save you the trouble.
I'll just edit that so it looks like you drank it before. But thanks, I appreciate that. It's so funny because last week, after for the people who don't,
I even had comments like all my mates are like, pussy. I was like, I got training. What do you want me to
Even
do?
before we started, I said, do you train today? He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Have half. But it's funny because when this ends, Dan leaves. It's not like we talk about how do you think that went. Dan just goes. So I was like, fuck it, I'll have his. I drank his, drank 2 more. I was just getting way too excited. I was like, I'll call it this, I'll call it that. Just, yeah, it's terrifying. But got a good reaction though. I was quite proud of it.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
Being drunk, talking to someone and getting paid for it has kind of been a dream for me. You know.
That is not a bad gig.
It's not
you know
too
what
bad.
I mean? This is not a bad gig.
Yeah, well, even for yourself. Man, now that you get to go home, is it just like a weight off your shoulders?
Oh, I was never like really.
I'll say that, hold on, I'll clarify this. You've never struck me as the most stressed out kind of guy, I'll be honest.
Nah, like even, I was cracking up, like even doing like the lottery last night, like a bing, got in like 500 and I was like, yeah, and then the number just slowly counts down until you like can get through to zero. And it got to like 250, like it was counting down and I was like, man, I was like rubbing it in. I was like, I'm in. I was like, I'm going home, baby. I was like, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And then like the internet on the computer just died for a second.
Fuck off.
Yeah, died. And then something come up on the screen and it's like, you need to reconnect in the next like short period or you'll lose your place. And my wife starts freaking out. Obviously, she's like, oh, like goes running over, shaking the modem and that stuff. And I was, well, I don't know what you do.
Yeah, come back!
And I just started laughing. I was just like, oh, this is what I get for rubbing it in.
Yeah,
I was like, this.
see, because when you posted your story where it's
like,
like,
oh, sorry, sorry.
when you posted your story saying, oh, we're going home, or whatever fucking shit, I couldn't even understand what you said. I was like, sounds good. And then I didn't see another one to confirm it. I was like, dude, imagine if he just got to the end and it just like crapped out.
It did.
Oh, man.
Like it did, but then it whooped back. I got in.
That's definitely.
I just did a quick apology. I was like, sorry.
Yeah.
Came back online, got through. But yeah, I was like, even in that moment, I was like laughing, and my wife's like, why? Like, why? Because obviously she stresses a lot more than me never stressing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? Like, I end up going somewhere else. I end up going to Australia. I end up going to Thailand.
Yeah.
I end up traveling and having more fun. It's not.
It's part of life's rich tapestry.
It's not the
as
end
my
of the
dad
world.
always
Like,
says.
I'm not gonna. If I was the kind of person that would panic about that situation, you'd be the kind of person that wouldn't even be in this situation.
Yeah, I was about to say, you just got on your flight and not gone to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, like you would have just stayed at home in the first place and been like, this is the safest, this is the smartest, safest thing you could possibly do. I will do the opposite every single time.
What's the most stupid thing you've ever done?
Oh,
To your
that's
own,
a big one.
outside of fighting.
The most stupid, that would take some serious thought. That would take, it wouldn't even take thought. It would take some serious filtering.
I mean, for example, the first one that came to my mind, I ran through a window on holiday and slashed my arm down to the bone.
Oh.
I was there for 4 hours and had 1 pint. And it was like, just excited to be there and just fucking ran through a window. So that was cool.
Put yourself.
That was in TheMacLife. Had to go to hospital. Had to like get it, like, it was fucking, it was a bad start to the holiday, I'll be honest. And then they gave me antibiotics. They were like, you can't drink on these. And I was like, it'll probably be fine.
Or
Yeah.
I drink less.
And then I was like,
and
well,
get more drunk.
in my head, I was like, what if I only
That's like the worst. That's like the worst piss. You have like antibiotics.
Yeah.
You have like 2-3 beers, and you're just like the room starts spinning. Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah. I thought if I only drink beer, that's not that strong, so that would be okay. And then after 3 beers, I'll be like, well, I can have a vodka or 2, and then just decline. Yeah, it's fine. Still there.
Worst hangovers too. Antibiotic hangovers.
I've never drunk on like. There's only a few types that you can't drink on. I've never actually had those. I don't think. Really, I don't know.
I've done this many times.
You're like the fucking Wolf of Wall Street where you take the Quaaludes and you're like slipping down out of the Lamborghini.
It's like, go home fine. Yeah. Go home safe and sound.
Do you remember the time in your life where you were the drunkest? Like, do you remember a moment where you're specifically like you're sitting there and you have that moment where you're like, I am pissed right now?
Oh, you do it. I feel like you play with that line like too many times. I just feel like it was one of like the first times.
Yeah.
One of the first times.
The first time I ever got drunk was too bad. Yeah, it was
first
not great.
time. That was like half a bottle of bourbon and like a quarter bottle of gin at like the same time straight.
How old were you?
Like 14.
Okay.
That'll get you.
That'll hit the spot.
That is called alcohol poisoning. That is what that is called.
That's rough, man.
I still got, like, to this day, 31 years old, can't drink bourbon, can't drink gin.
Really?
I did that more than half a lifetime ago. can't stomach this.
Do you know that the shot Sambuca? I did 19 of those in 1 minute. Just went bam, 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 bam. Got the video on my phone.
Why?
It was my 18th birthday. Thought it'd be cool.
There you go. Why'd you do 19?
Because he gave me a free one, which really, at the end of the day, was not necessary.
He could have given you a free one at 17.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. Yeah, what the fuck?
What a setup.
But he gave. I did.
Well, they do that in New Zealand. 21's 21 shots.
Just 18 in the.
Oh, that's
UK.
girls. Girls do in New Zealand. Girls do 21's 21 shots, and then boys do the yard gloves.
Yeah. Well, so I did 19 in under a minute, and then within about 30 seconds, I was just painting their fucking bathroom everywhere, and then
it hits you like a rock.
Since then, I cannot even smell it. Like if I smell it, I'm just like, oh, it's like
your body's
PTSD of a pisshead.
Body's like funny how
it
shuts out smell.
Why do we do it to ourselves, Dan? Why do we do it?
Oh, I haven't been drunk like that for a while. And then I thought of like.
You were pretty
2 weeks ago.
You were pretty fucking.
That was depression drinking.
Yeah.
All right, that's. I feel like that's warranted.
Yeah.
It's not like celebratory drinking.
No,
like,
it was very.
It's like good.
Yeah. Do you remember Frank was like trying to fucking. I don't know who the two other guys you were with, the big lads.
Yeah.
But what
Hemi and
Frank kept being like Oscar picked Costa to fuck Izzy up, and then I'm surrounded like, oh yeah, did you? Why'd you do that then, mate? It was just like complete.
Yeah. Nah, Dougie's a man. He's he owns City Kickboxing.
Do you remember the gentleman who brought us more beer? And you just went, if you tell this guy anything, he will believe it. And then just carried on.
Bro, the awkward bro. He like walked in and he like dropped our beers off, but then he started like showing us pictures of all the fighters he'd thing. We gave him a t-shirt and then he was like, oh, I don't know if it's the size I wanted. We're like, bro, it's a free t-shirt.
Take it!
Take it and leave, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, right, it's time for that segment again. Questions that the fans want to ask, because people actually.
What were the last ones? You just read.
I just made them up in my head.
Made up names.
Yeah, because I didn't have any fan questions.
Why'd you have to read out names?
I thought that'd be
anyway. Moving on.
Anyway, where's my phone? There it goes. But some fans actually left questions. This just goes to show how popular we are.
Nice. Nice.
Very nice. Right. I suppose I should read out their names this time, should I? Carson Gordy wants to know. Question for Dan. Rankings aside, who in your division would you actually want to fight the most and why? Then he says, I love you, Dan, you scumbag.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Carson.
I appreciate that. Right.
Cheers.
I feel like some cultures would be offended by that.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just like,
I got you, man.
Carson, my guy. Not too sure. Doing a little something at the moment.
Are you? You got something in the works?
Nah.
Yeah.
Gotta make your next move your best move. Let's just say I'm working with the UFC and the fight dietitian very closely, and I'm doing a test.
Oh!
I'm doing a little test run, and we'll see.
Well, surely if Alex is down there, we won't get into this because then the fucking.
I'll be able to answer every question you possibly have on next week's show.
Okay, there you go. Right. And then we had, please don't say I fucked this name up, but
do it.
Janindu Pereira.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, mate.
It sounded right.
It sounds okay. It looks like it.
I had no idea.
He asked us 10 questions. When I say we, he asked you.
I'm distracting Irish names.
Oh, really?
Siobhan?
Like Croya,
Siobhan. I read that out. I was like,
I used to date a girl called Sean.
Like, one of the girls at my gym was Siobhan. I read it off the page. I was like, Siobhan. Siobhan.
Yeah.
Where is Siobhan? And she was like,
oh, geez,
she stood up, and I was like, Siobhan, what? That's not your name? Yeah. And then I was like, why would you spell it like? Anyway, Irish names. Get me worse than anyone.
When I was younger, I used to date a girl called Sean, and for about a month, I couldn't call her anything but Sean. And then, yeah, it's like, Sean, I couldn't fucking get. Yeah, it was a bit weird. She didn't like it either. Janindu, he says,
my guy.
Do fish get thirsty?
For air, I guess.
Why?
They filter air. They filter oxygen.
Gills, you know.
They filter oxygen through the ears.
Why is there a fridge light but no freezer light?
That's a great question.
I reckon it's because the readily available...
Or it's a drink, like when you open it, I don't know.
I reckon it's because...
you might get an ice block at night. I don't know.
Presumably the light's there for night time, right? But the food that you can eat immediately is in the fridge, not the freezer. So there's no point going to the freezer.
You might get ice cream.
Well, listen, Dan, I'm giving you a solution to the fucking question, right? You don't need to be changing the rules at this stage of the game. If you're bald, can you get dandruff? Ask Dana.
I'd have to ask Alex.
Yeah?
I don't know, but it's like your skin coming off, right? Or does the
it's
hair...
flaky, isn't it?
Does the hair cause the skin to die?
Well, surely, listen, this, as a smart intellectual man, I'd say it's probably the oils from the hair.
I'm going to say no.
Cool. Can you yawn when you're asleep?
You'd have to, right?
Probably. Is it called the sand because it's between the sea and the land? Or did someone...
Janindu's on fucking fire.
Janindu's come here with fucking no games to play.
He's got some nice questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say the guy that created the name Sand.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Do you reckon he did the same reaction you just did? Turned to his mates and went, Sand, sea, land, get it. If we get out of the shower clean, how do we get our towels dirty?
Oh, come on, bud.
Yeah.
You're not going to use the same towel. Yeah.
Well,
everyone's different.
Lad's holiday, if there's only 3 towels, you're like, this one's the least wet, yeah? Fucking, yeah, maybe that's just us. Why is it called a building if it's already built? That's a very good question, man. This guy.
I don't have I've got more
questions.
He's asking me, I have more questions than answers, my friend.
Yeah. All right. Who knew what time it was when the first clock was made? That blows my mind.
Time to...
Janindu's going to be like, I asked these questions.
I don't have any answers, bud.
Yeah, you're basically too smart for...
You're too smart
one
to be
drunk guy,
asking
half
questions,
drunk guy. Not that drunk.
Asking questions on Twitter. You know what I mean? Write a book. Write a book.
If you're waiting for the waiter, aren't you the waiter? He should be a fucking poet, right? And then he also...
Again, like, I'm out.
Well, Janindu, I'm sorry that we're not smart enough to answer your questions.
I can't answer any of them.
We tried.
Not a single one.
Yeah, listen, it's a bit like last week where I said something like...
Is there only 2 questions? We got 10...
We got
10 out of 1
we got Janindu.
We got 2 people ask questions.
Well, listen, I could scroll through, but I assume that most of them are just very complimentary, being like, oh, Dan's a savage, oh. And then ripping you on not drinking the beer that I've ended up drinking. And I'm going to have
guys, next week, guys.
Was it genuinely awful?
What?
Training after... Do you know, I trained today. All right, let me...
Nah, just you don't want to.
let me rephrase.
You get like a taste of it, 1 sip of beer, and I'm just like, my brain's instantly like, ooh.
Well, it did crack me up.
Should we push the boat out? You know what I mean?
It did crack me up when you went, oh, fuck, that is nice. Straight away.
But I'll just smell it. I'll just smell it.
Well, I worked out this morning, and you know, I don't know, you don't because you're a professional fighter, but the people at home may know. I worked out punching the bag at the gym. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm feeling like pretty good today. Stuck a little video camera up, like did a bit of workout, looked at it, went, well, no one can ever see this.
No, that happens a lot.
Yeah, look like the fucking inflatable arm people.
I feel great
like,
today. Yeah, look, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah. I felt, you know.
I suck.
Yeah, it's the worst, man.
I was like, not film me training.
I was like, my uppercuts are sick and they come from fucking back here. It's the worst. Anyway. Well, lads and ladesses, I guess, probably not.
It's probably like one
it's just Janindu sitting there. It's like, if you're a grasshopper, do you hop over grass? Anyway, not to rip you, Janindu, we appreciated it.
We appreciate the question.
I mean, you got the biggest name check ever. Right, Dan, episode 2 in the books. Next week, same time?
I'm not actually going to cheers it because it's bad luck to actually cheers with an empty glass. It's bad luck to cheers with an empty glass. We still can't cheers. Ping.
Ping. Well, why did I fucking down it then?
That's why I yelled at you.
I thought you could...
That's why I yelled.
We'll be back next week.